Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. If you have been with us a little earlier on for our junior races, if you just joined us for our senior races, a warm welcome. Good afternoon. We are here to bring you live coverage of the fourth edition of the Europe Triathlon Cup in Caorle in Italy. Fantastic venue here. This is the fourth edition, as we said. Caorle is a coastal town. We're in northern Italy, in the metropolitan city of Venice, in the region of Venlo, based right on the coast of the Adriatic Sea in northern Italy. And coming up for you in probably about 2 minutes time from now, we have our first of our elite senior races of the day. We've got two races back to back. Going to be starting off with our elite women, going to be racing over the sprint distance today. This is part of the Europe Triathlon Cup series of events that takes place through the season. So we kick those off in Caorle in Portugal in May. We've been to Melilla and Yenişehir in Turkey. So Melilla in Spain, Yenişehir in Turkey, and we're now in Italy. So that sprint distance here, 750-meter swim, a one-lap clockwise sea swim. As you'll see, it's going to be a beach start. You can see the athletes currently being introduced on the ground to their beach pontoon positions once they're out of the water. Just under 20k on the bike, total of 6 laps, so it's quite a short, fast and flat bike course. If you were with us earlier for our European Junior Cup events, exactly the same bike course, but this time 6 laps rather than the 3 that our juniors did earlier. And then they will conclude with 2 laps of running. Slightly modified course to what the juniors did. A couple of little extra out and backs just to bring the lap distance up to 2.5k. And then they will finish off with that 5-kilometer run to complete this fourth edition here in Caorle. So our athletes being introduced onto the podium. We'll of course be telling you a little bit more about the athletes as they go through the race and as the racing gets underway, but just to give you a little taster of some of the names that we've got on the start list today. Race number 1, our top ranked athlete wearing number 1 today is Annabelle Knoll from Germany. She's currently world rank number 68 in the World Triathlon rankings. No stranger to this race in Caorle. She finished 4th here 3 years ago in the first edition. She's also an Olympian. Finished 31st in the Tokyo Olympic Games, and also experience at the top tier of racing in the World Triathlon Championship Series, where she has 3 top 10 results to her name as well. So a class athlete, definitely somebody that we're going to be looking out for as the racing progresses today. Wearing number 2, we have one of our home favourites, that's Angelica Prestia. Like Annabelle, Angelica is also experienced here in Caorle. She raced here 2 years ago, the 2022 edition, and actually took 2nd place, the silver medal on that day. And in good form last year, where she took bronze in the under-23 World Champs. I'm telling you a lot more about a lot more athletes as we go through the race, but as we're just moments away from the start, our technical official just checking everybody is lined up correctly, and we are about to get going. So the familiar pre-start heartbeat sounds that go before all of the World Triathlon and European Triathlon races sends shivers down the spine, I'm sure, of athletes, but they are underway. And what I did notice there, race number 1, Annabelle Knoll from Germany, she had chosen to start on the nearest side, so she was the closest athlete on the right hand side of the pontoon as you look out towards the sea. So she had chosen that position to be away from all of the other swimmers. And I noticed that right next to her, race number 5, was Sophia Green, Sophia from Great Britain. She was a top 10 finisher here last year, so again another athlete that's got course knowledge. Finished 8th last year, and she's had multiple podiums on the Europe Triathlon Cup circuit over the years, including a victory in Coimbra in Portugal in 2021. I know she's in pretty good form. Had a 5th place recently in Melilla, and also set, I was looking up a 5k PB recently in a midweek 5k event in the UK, so her run shape is good, so let's look out for that as we progress through the event. So 750 meter swim, as we said. It's a pretty easy course in the sense of direction. There's no major complications. It's straight out. Then they'll do effectively 2 right-hand turns around the big yellow buoys before heading straight back in. So no complexity in terms of remembering the course. It's all about getting your directions correct. One of the benefits that the seniors have here relative to junior athletes that we saw over the last hour or so is that additional distance means it's a much longer section out to the first turn buoys. So in a couple of the post-race interviews that we heard from our podium finishers for the juniors, they were just saying that it was very tight and there was quite a lot of barging going on that first turn buoy as so many athletes were trying to get round together. Of course, for the juniors, they probably only had about 90 seconds before they reached their first buoy. It's going to be a lot longer for our senior women here with a 750 meter rather than 300 meter swim. But already that is being stretched out, and we have quite a line of athletes already starting to form, with one athlete pushing the pace at the front. So one of the things that I always like to look for in terms of preparing for races and what's going on is we have a saying in the UK, and I'm sure it translates well around the world, called horses for courses. So there's always that idea of, well, who has performed well at an event before? They have that experience, have that knowledge, maybe that mental positivity of having done well at a race before, so why can't they do it again? Well, in terms of the local athletes from Italy, Carlotta Mazzaglia, she has raced here every year, so this is her 4th time racing here, and she actually won this race 2 years ago. So she'll be looking to call upon those memories, I'm sure, to see if a repeat is possible. She had a solid race last time out with a top 10 in Melilla, so I'm sure we'll be looking to try and build on that and see if she can move a little closer to the podium as today's racing pans out. So just coming up to 4.5 minutes on the clock. Opening swim. So the athletes will just have that little section on the far end of the course before effectively the second right-hand turn. So they're now on the return back to shore. So that lead athlete has already pulled out a good few seconds. So some impressive swimming going on at the front of the field. In terms of looking back at previous results, last year this race was won by Germany's Selina Klamt. It proved to be a good omen for her season. She went on to become European and World Under-23 champion. Had an excellent season. No Selina racing here today, so that leaves, in terms of our top 10 from last year, the highest placed finisher that is returning this year is actually Sophia Green, who we mentioned a few moments ago. She was 5th last year. So I'm sure we'll have good memories and hoping to turn that into a podium this time around. So if you weren't with us earlier, we have already had 2 races here. The European Triathlon Cup also hosted the Junior Cup events here in Caorle today. So it's 4 races back to back. Juniors raced over a super sprint distance with semi-finals yesterday and their finals today. For our junior women, we had a podium sweep by the incredibly strong and always impressive French squad. They were led home by Manon Laporte, with Leah Hoart and Lisa Lecomte completing the French podium. And then for our junior men, we had a home victory for Italy's Lorenzo Pelliciardi. He got to the line just ahead of Tristan Duché from France, and Romania's Caorle Popper took the bronze, continuing his strong season. So far it's France and Italy with gold. Will we get another nation on the podium this time around? We will find that out over the next 50 or so minutes. Expecting today's race time to come in probably well under the hour, just looking back on last year. It's always difficult to compare times in triathlons. Swim conditions, buoy placement, etc. can always be slightly different. But Selina Klamt was just about 57.5 minutes last year. So I'd certainly expect something close to that for our winner this time around. But at the moment we do have 1 athlete in the swim. Got themselves a nice early break and showing some great form in the open water here. Great conditions, as you can see, blue skies, sunshine, temperatures around about 26 degrees. So certainly warm, not extreme. So just trying to see if I can spot that hat number. Certainly is either a third, begins with a 3, so it could either be number 3, which is Australia's Tara Zazinski, or it's a 30 something. Just looking down, actually, possibility it could be Ilona Hadoum from France, the world and European junior champion. She was 3rd here last year in the Junior Cup, so it's a first year senior for her. I know that she is a very strong swimmer. So that's just my guess at the moment, but that will all become clear in the next 60 seconds or so. So that almost, there we go. In the low water now, we see the dolphin diving to get through that. And our first athlete now running up the sand into transition. So it sounds like it's Beth Cook from Great Britain. So I said it was a 3 on the start of the hat, and that's race number 37, Bethany Cook. So Beth comes from, well, one of the strongest families, almost a triathlon dynasty in her family. Father's Glenn Cook, who was second in the first ever World Triathlon Championship way back in 1980. Also a multiple European champion and a third place finisher at the Hawaii Ironman. So in terms of triathlon legacy, it doesn't get much stronger than that. Bethany's actually based at the moment over in the States. She's at Charlotte University. Sorry, Queen's University in Charlotte on a combining her law studies with a triathlon scholarship. So she is a top tier performer. So she's got that lead. I'm sure she will probably be hoping to be joined by a small number of athletes willing to work in the early stages. And that looks like France's Leah Konings not too far behind as they head out onto the bike. Leah second here 3 years ago as well, so has plenty of experience. So we had 15 athletes out of the water within 20 seconds. Beth Cook's lead as they came out of the swim was 8 seconds, but we won't really get a good feel for how that plays out until the first couple of minutes of the bike, and we can already see that's certainly not 8 seconds. Some good transition work going on there. While Beth has pushed the pace, I'm sure she would, in an ideal world, want to be with a small group working and not trying to do this completely solo for 20k. So far, so good. Let's see how these groups get together and start working over the next couple of minutes as we're on the first outward section of this 6-lap flat, fast course here in Cape. So no surprise at all that Leah Konings has managed to bridge straight back to Beth Cook. She had an absolutely fantastic transition, actually made up 11 seconds just in transition alone. So I know it is maybe a tired cliche, but it's certainly one that's true. Transition is the fourth discipline. Think of triathlon as swim, bike, run, but ultimately it's just the times of the positions are determined at the finish. So you have to swim, bike, run, and transition as fast as you can. And Leah Konings used that to great effect there and jumped up many places with that fantastic T1. So some good shots here from the drone. So this little U-turn section, that is effectively halfway through each of the bike laps. So that is at the furthest point of the course. They do come into that section, that 180-degree U-turn, and then now heading back towards Caorle T1 and the roundabout, which will represent the turning point at the end of the lap. And already we can see a group starting to form, actually quite a large group. So while we did have that significant, that has now gone, and it looks like we are going to end up with, it could be 20, maybe 25 athletes in close order as they come through at the end of the first lap on the bike. So Beth Cook is one of the youngest athletes in this race. She turns 20 this year, but actually the youngest here is from Austria, is Tabea Heuss. Tabea is still actually technically available to race in the junior ranks, and which she has done with great success in European Junior Cup events. Go into the Junior Cup race this year, but race with the seniors over the sprint distance. She turns 19 this year. How she matches up with the senior athletes, and so far so good. She is nicely within that leading group. Quite a significant group, and we are at or just about to come to the end of the first bike lap. There we go, around that U-turn. You can see transition just up to the left there with the blue carpet. So now heading out onto lap number 2 of the bike. Pace is definitely on because we have pretty much a single file line of athletes. When the pace is strong like that, that does make it pretty difficult to break away at the front, but it also means that you have to pay attention because you don't want to be dropping back, losing the wheel in front, creating gaps, because it makes it so much more difficult to bridge back. What can also tend to happen if the pace is strong in these early stages, then just through a little bit of attrition or just the continued effort, you can see some of the weaker cyclists just start to lose the pace and just gradually just not be able to hold on anymore. So that's something we're going to look out for as we progress. And if that's the case, and you could actually be seeing it there, that large group is maybe just starting to splinter a little bit. Still got a significant group at the front. There does seem to be a small number of athletes just 3 or 4 seconds behind, just losing the wheel in front. And if that gap gets out to 5, 6, 7 seconds, then it does make it incredibly hard to bridge back. So you can see it, great weather in Caorle today. Reported about 26 degrees, so it's definitely sunglasses, sunscreen and hat weather. But great temperatures to be racing in. Warm without being extreme, so nothing that I think all of these athletes will certainly not be familiar with. So as they came round a lap and a half in, still about 30 or so athletes, maybe 33 athletes within 6 seconds of the lead. And now just looking at the pictures there, you can just see, compared to what we saw just 4 or 5 moments ago, a very different picture where we saw a long line, almost a single file of athletes. There we were seeing the athletes spread across the road, 4, 5, 6 athletes wide, and that sort of suggests just at that point that the pace had just backed off slightly. And if that's the case, if we do have those a few athletes that were just losing the group, that is going to give them the opportunity to get back onto that pack. So yeah, the last checkpoint, pretty much all the way down to about 33rd position before we got any significant break. So that is a huge group of athletes at the moment. Sophia Green from Great Britain, who we mentioned, of course, 5th last year in there. Annabelle Knoll, top-ranked athlete. Celia Merle, she's another athlete that has performed well here before. Celia raced recently in Liévin, which was a great event. If you saw that, that was the full triathlon that was held completely indoors in the sports venue in Liévin in France, where they had the swimming pool built inside of the athletics track, the cycling on the outside lanes of the athletics track, and then the run on the inside lanes. So you had a complete stadium triathlon. It was great viewing. The organisers did a fantastic job on that, as they have done for many years. It got World Triathlon Cup status this year. So in terms of bringing triathlon and excitement to potentially a new audience, fantastic job, and let's hope that that continues for many, many years to come. So getting some shots here. These are some of the chasing groups. But we still have a significant mass of athletes at the front. On the third of the 6 laps now. So I'll hopefully get a count of how many is in that group at the next checkpoint. Does seem to have reduced a little bit, I think. I would say there's maybe 20, 22 or so people in there. It doesn't look like that would still be 30 plus athletes, but of course my eyesight could be deceiving me. But the timing data, when it comes through in a few moments' time, will confirm that. Yeah, the pace does seem to be maybe a little bit back on at the moment. We did see those athletes spread across the road, which tends to indicate that they had eased up just a touch about 5 minutes ago, but seem to be just getting back to a little bit more directness and pace at the front. But that is still a big group. You're seeing all the names come through there. Many of our favourites, a few of them that we have already mentioned. So 15th there, not that the position matters at this point because they're all pretty much together. It was Ilona Hadoum, the young French athlete. This is her first year in the senior ranks. She was 3rd here last year in the Junior Cup. That was a race won by the Hungarian phenom Fanny Zalai. But for Ilona, it was an early part of what turned to be an absolutely fantastic season, and she ended 2023 as both the European and World Junior Champion. So clearly a talent for the future, and this is her first opportunity to test herself in the senior ranks this year, and so far she's doing a fantastic job. So that was the end of lap number 3. So the midpoint of this 19.5 kilometer bike course. And that group, yeah, it is still large, isn't it? No, I don't think too much has changed there. On the back, we saw relatively unusually for European Triathlon Cup event, that was an Australia tri-suit. That's race number 3 today. Tara Zazinski. She comes in as the world ranked number 125, so clearly has some good results on her record, reflected by that low start number today. She raced in the under 23 World Championships, where she was 24th last year. That would have been in Pontevedra in Spain, part of the championship finals. So always good to see some of the non-European nations racing over in Europe, perhaps come over to prepare for some European competitions or just to be able to get a lot of frequent racing in. That's one of the benefits. If you do want to come to Europe, base yourself in Europe, maybe represent one of the French Grand Prix teams as well, or the German Bundesliga, as well as all of the Europe Triathlon Cup events that are available to race in Europe. It's a fantastic location to base yourself in and be able to progress your career and race against many of the best athletes in the world without traveling too far. So good to see Tara here, and so far she's doing a great job in the lead group. So just going through that U-turn. So that is, would that be, that's 3.5 laps completed. So we're on lap 4. Yeah, so 40 seconds there, we're getting on screen. That chasing group. But this really is a big group at the front, more than half of the field. Pretty much all of the pre-race favourites, I think, are going to be in here as well. So is this the way it's going to continue over the next 2 laps, or will anybody, or perhaps a small group, be feeling brave enough or feeling strong enough to make a breakaway attempt? We did see that attempted, and in terms of the bike at least, achieved In our junior men's race, we had the Swiss and the Norwegian junior both managed to break away in the late stages of the bike, got to the run and got themselves a advantage of about 14 seconds starting the run. Unfortunately for them, they weren't able to hold it, but they can certainly walk away from the race with no questions, knowing that, yeah, they gave it a best shot for what they saw as their best chance to win, and left it all out on the course. Better to try and fail than wonder afterwards. But it is pretty tough when you have a significantly large group like this to try and break away, particularly on this terrain where it is flat, it is fast. It just means that you really have to put out so much more extra power just to get that additional speed to try and get away. But sometimes the sensible or the prudent option might be to stick with the group and trust your running legs. So we saw them on the U-turn a few moments ago. That was the end of another lap. And these are some of the chasers and the groups behind. So their deficit, that has ballooned out now. So it's gone from 40 seconds last time around. So that large chase group, it's now up to, just as I say that, just going up on the screen, 1 minute and 7 seconds. So yeah, I think we can realistically rule out any chance of any of the chasers that are not in this current leading group from being able to contend for the podium and probably even the top 10 positions. Such is the quality and such is the volume of athletes in this leading group. Still athletes. So that again, from that drone shot, we've just come away from it. They were at the far end of the course on that U-turn section. There we go. So they've just gone around there now. So that is 4.5 laps into the 6-lap bike course. They'll be back at transition from this point in little more than 2 to 2.5 minutes. And then it will be into the final loop of the bike. And at the moment, at least, it looks as though we are heading towards a 5K showdown, unless anybody is got the strength, ability, willingness, or bravery to try and make a breakaway in the late stages. So I'm not going to give you all of the names in there. We're getting a few of them just rotating around on the screen. We've got race number 4, Julia Brocker, just 21. She was a winner last year in Alanya. And I saw her race recently. She reached the final and performed really well and got 7th place in the Super Tri E World Championships. That was formerly known as the Arena Games. That's that real life meets virtual format with the pool swim and then the bike trainer and treadmill running on within the Zwift platform. Took place at the Aquatics Centre where they had the London Olympics. Beth Potter took the title there, but Julia Brocker raced really, really well. So she is in that group, as is Carlotta Mazzaglia, who we mentioned, the winner here 2 years ago. Annabelle Knoll, of course, race number 1, top-ranked athlete coming in here. Tabea Hoy, so we've mentioned the 19-year-old from Austria. And plenty more talent as well. Their final lap of the bike. So there you see, getting confirmation there. Bottom right-hand corner of the screen, bike 6 of 6 into the final lap. So I would suggest probably far too late to be really considering a significant breakaway. What will more likely be happening now is the athletes already start thinking about the upcoming transition, and not just the transition itself, but the positioning for it, and trying to get towards the front of the group coming into transition for a couple of reasons. Firstly, for speed, and getting into that group, getting into the transition and getting off first can certainly help you get out of transition first. But the other major factor, when you've got so many athletes in a group together, and we believe 33, although that could just be starting to split as the pace rises, it does create a little bit of potential congestion, can be a little bit of danger as they come to that dismount line, should, for example, somebody manage to slip or fall off in front of you. So it's certainly safer and quicker, if possible, to be towards the front of that group rather than caught up behind. So I think that's why the pace is just increasing just a touch here. No breakaway as such, but we did see a couple of athletes just sort of surging a little towards the front. I think they just want to get themselves up there in prime position. And it's certainly something that if you watch the elite senior racing, always impressed. Somebody like Hayden Wild is exceptional at this. He always seems to get himself towards the front of that group coming off into transition, and combined with his fantastic abilities and speed within transition, it's often seen him winning races. Certainly something like the Super Sprint World Champs in Hamburg last year was a great example of that. Back to today, well into the final half of the final lap. So with a lap being just over 3K. So keep your eyes peeled, and possibly fingers crossed that there isn't any issues. Now we are getting some news there. I didn't actually see that on screen, but Ilona Hadoum, who we have mentioned, looks like there has been a bike crash of some description. Now, Iona was our world is our world and European junior champion. First year here in the senior ranks, having finished third in the Junior Cup last year. So that is really disappointing. Fingers crossed. It just shows that even on a relatively simple flat course, when there are large groups, that accidents can happen. But we are now very, very close to transition. So you'll be seeing the athletes reaching down to their shoes, undoing the Velcro strap, slipping the feet out of the You'll typically see them put their weight on one of the shoes, usually the left-hand side, so that they stay away from the chain and the chain rings, and then they, at speed, step over the bike and dismount on the left. So right on cue, just as I described, you're seeing the vast majority of the athletes doing just that as they come up to the dismount line. So fingers crossed that there are no penalties. For that line, and there will be technical officials checking that, having recorded it by video on their iPad or tablet. Then penalties can be issued, and they will be time penalties that have to be served later on the run course. So that looks like our winner from 2 years ago, Carlotta Mizaglia, first out onto the run. But it is very, very close, as you would expect, with such a large group of athletes descending onto T2 in such close order. So Alessia Orla was also right up there. So Alessia raced at the European Games in Baku in Azerbaijan way back in 2015. That's a race I know very, very well. I was actually out in Baku that day on site. Very, very hot day. So Alessia will have no problems with the conditions here. But up at the front, that is Alyssa Koenig from Switzerland. She raced at the European Games last year and was 16th recently at the Hong Kong World Triathlon Cup. So she is used to racing at a high level of competition, and has set a stall out early on the run. Already had a solid result this year with a 7th place recently in Melilla in Spain. So back at transition, you're seeing the chasers heading out. So just looking down at some of the timings coming out of transition. Did look as though perhaps a few seconds had been lost by Beth Cook. Just came out of transition about 11 or 12 seconds off the back of the large group there. So possibly there's always a chance that we did hear that there was that crash for the French athlete. There's always a chance you could be potentially impacted by something like that. But up at the front at the moment in these early stages, Switzerland, Alyssa Koenig is leading the way. She come into today's race as ranked number 8th. So all of the bib numbers in these events are based upon World Triathlon rankings ahead of the race. Alyssa before today was 159 in there. But she is certainly, at the moment at least, very early in the run, performing well above that bib number. We'll see how that progresses over this 2-lap run, but so far so good for the 10th place finisher from last year's European Games. So if you were with us a little earlier watching the Europe Triathlon Junior Cup events for our juniors, obviously, we are on almost the same run course, so certainly cover all of the same roads, but the routes have just been slightly extended. There are a couple of little out and backs just in a couple of points that just extend the length of the loop by about 400 or 500 meters, so that just ensures that the 2 laps rather than the one that the juniors did will bring us back to approximately that 5k distance that we require for the sprint. But so far, Alyssa Conning doing a great job. Put 12 seconds into, I think it's Robin Dreiling, isn't it, from the Netherlands? Yeah, she was 10th this year in that race I was talking about, the indoor triathlon in Lievan. So Alyssa Conning set her stall out early. There's Annabelle Knoll. Got Leah Connings, I think we just went past there. So we're just, the motorbike is just taking us through the field. So these are the chasers. So it's Alyssa Conning leading the way, being chased down. This group of about 5 within 2 or 3 seconds, 12 to 15 seconds back. So that is Robin Dreiling, Julia Brocker, the youngster or 21-year-old from Germany who we mentioned, another German, Franca Rust, Carlotta Mizaglia from Italy, and Alessia Orla. So they are the 5 at the last timing point that were closest. Then we've got a little bit of a gap back to Leah Connings, but there are still around about 20 athletes within 20 seconds. So certainly not decisive, but Alyssa Koenig is definitely the athlete that is showing her colours so far. Had a excellent position off the bike, a solid transition. Just looking through the times, weren't too many people quicker than her through transition, and she has run the first part of the first lap a good 10 or so seconds faster than everybody else. So you're seeing her coming down the finish straight here. So we won't see her come under and onto the blue carpet. The blue carpet is pretty much where the camera is located at the moment. So they come down this finish straight. So this is effectively the end of the first lap, but then they'll bear left and then go out onto the second loop. So you can see there just visually and by time that that is quite a significant gap for Alyssa. She was second last year at the Europe Triathlon Cup event in Malia. She followed that up with 7th this year. But at the moment, if she can continue with this form, she could be turning silver into gold in Caorle. Yeah, and doesn't she look strong as well? It's not just the time, that running style. Well, the shoulders maybe a little high, but if you just look overall, the strength is looking good. That doesn't look like an athlete that is struggling. She's looking powerful, looking strong, and so far you have to say the results are being derived from that form. So now into the second of 2 laps. So not too much more than maybe 2 kilometers. So if she can hold this together, then she came into this race, as I think I said a little earlier, at 159th in the world triathlon rankings. Well, she'll certainly move up if she can gain the top points awarded to winners in Europe Triathlon Cup events today. That is still to be confirmed, but at the moment she is doing a great job. So that just as my screen freezes, they are 2 of the chasers. No, apologies, it's Dreiling, Robin Dreiling. So Franca Rust, Robin Dreiling. So Franca Rust, I don't be giving you too much background on her. 22 years old this year. Okay. In Yenişehir, Turkey last year. So no stranger to podiums in Europe Triathlon Cup competition. Could well be on the way to another one here, and also erasing the memory of last year's race here in Caorle, where she was actually a DNF, didn't finish last year's race. So that would be a great way to turn the tide and eliminate any negativity from last year's racing, to come back and perform strongly, which she is doing right now. But still, it's Alyssa Koenig. So there she is on screen, still looking strong. Is she going to be able to hold this for, I'm going to guess, maybe about the next 4 minutes, perhaps? Something of that order. She's certainly well into the late stages, probably approaching the final kilometre of running now. So we have already gold in our junior cup for the women. We have seen Italy take gold in the junior cup for the men. But wow, if those times coming up on screen are correct, and I've no reason to doubt that they are, it looks like there is going to be no doubt whatsoever. Alyssa Koenig, I said that she was looking good, looking strong. And that last checkpoint, 37 seconds clear. Koenig appears as though she's got this, well, potentially in the bag, but behind it looks like it's going to be a battle for silver and bronze. Robin Dreiling, Franca Rust, the Netherlands. versus Germany, still locked together. Already 4 of the 6 podiums today taken by Les Bleus. But it looks like at the moment, unless Konix can fight back, that we may have the first of the podium of the day in the race 3 out of 4 without a French tri-suit on. So on the screen, you are seeing in the front, that's Franke Rust from Germany. Behind, Robin Dreiling from the Netherlands. This is the battle for second and third, silver and bronze here at the 2024 Europe Triathlon Cup Elite Women's Race. But significantly ahead, taken the lead early, grabbed this race by the proverbial scruff of the neck in the red tri-suit. You see her now, and there is nobody in sight behind her. This is Alissa Koenig from Switzerland. 10th last year at the European Games, age 28. The crowd are cheering. She's almost on the blue carpet, and still on this long finish straight, there's barely an athlete in sight. So congratulations. What a performance. What a run. Your champion in Caorle, European Triathlon Cup 2024, Alissa Koenig. And how thrilled is she with that? And why not? What a performance. But as we look behind, we are going to see, I think, a close sprint for the finish. Hopefully we're going to get our cameraman just seeing the finish. Is it going to be Rust or Dreiling coming up to the line? Let's see if we can get those images. Please, 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 can we go to the right? Here we go. And it is Franke Rust takes the silver medal from the Netherlands, Robin Dreiling. The Konix taking 4th position. Carlotta Mazzaglia, winner from a couple of years back, in 5th. We've got Kongi, Caorle, Annabelle Knoll, Celia Merle. And the athletes continue to go across the finish line. De Bruin from the Netherlands. But your 1, 2, 3 today. From Switzerland, Alissa Koenig. From the Netherlands, Robin Dreiling. And from Germany, Franke Rust. And as always, lots of tired and broken physically and mentally bodies at the finish line. Youngest athlete in the race there, just on the right, just falling to the floor. That's Tabea Huys from Austria. We'll be seeing plenty more of her in the future. Your podium there, just posing in front of the finish archway for the images that you'll be seeing, I'm sure, on the Europe Triathlon website and social media pages, probably within a few minutes, because they are pretty quick, certainly on the social media side. I know Thomas Bertrandi is down on the ground with his camera, videos, interviews, and more. But congratulations have to go to that fantastic run from Alissa Koenig. Just to confirm, at the finish, she had pulled away to a winning margin of 35 seconds, with Franke Rust just getting to the line just a couple of seconds ahead of Robin Dreiling. So athletes still coming to the finish. And thanks again to all of the organising team here in Caorle. They do a fantastic job, fantastic venue, and you can see for crowds there. It's a location that welcomes triathlon and multisport into its area. This is the 4th consecutive year of this Europe Triathlon Cup event, and they also hosted the European Duathlon Championships in the area last April as well. So long may it continue, and hopefully we will be back taking in the action and watching some more great triathlon racing around this time next year as well. Still plenty more to come today. We've just passed 5 p.m. Central European time. Elite men, they are coming up at 6 p.m. So just under, about 55 minutes from now. We're going to go down possibly to the ground. Fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll hear some interviews on the ground. But yeah, our elite men, they are coming up at 6 p.m. Central European time, 5 p.m. in the UK. And we will be back with you then for the 4th and final event of this busy day and busy afternoon of triathlon action here at the Europe Triathlon Cup Caorle 2024.
Test, 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 test. On the finish line of this Europe Triathlon Cup Caorle 2024, what an amazing satisfaction for all you women, starting from the winner of this European Triathlon Cup Caorle. After injuries and periods so hard for you, amazing satisfaction with tears on your face after the finish line.
Yeah, I think I got a bit emotional. Yeah, the last 2 years have been very rough and brutal, so I'm just very, very happy to finally put something together that I can show myself and prove myself.
Yeah, amazing satisfaction for you, but also for the second and third place. Franca Rast from Germany, did you expect this result? Are you satisfied with yourself?
I'm really satisfied with my result and with my performance today. I didn't expect that. I was sure, okay, today it's a good day. It's gonna be a good day because I felt very strong the last weeks after London, and in Switzerland we trained very well and had really good weeks. So I was sure, okay, it could be great today. But today, was really, really good, and I didn't expect that great of performance.
A really good podium. What about your performance? Robin Drilling from Netherlands, satisfied about your third place? You could ask more about yourself, or it's okay?
Well, I think I'm never totally satisfied, but the swim was not that good, but I felt good on the bike, and the run was really surprising because normally that's my weakest part. But I worked really hard this winter on my run, and I'm really glad that it paid, and now working on the swim again.
So, thank you so much, have a good luck, have a nice rest of the season. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you to podium finishers. As I said, we will be back at 5 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Central European time for our elite men. So just over about 35 to 40 minutes from now, join us then for our final race of the day.
che usi con sta camera.
Sì.
Dopo al ritorno.
Sì, faranno che qui al limite, cioè.
Sì, ma
Tanto...
sì, in ogni caso siamo qua. Cioè, sappiamo che questo microfono lo uso adesso. per mio figlio, però suona bene e ho deciso di farne ancora. Mhm, venuta fuori una bella storia. In più mi sono fatto la finezza che non te la insegnano di farmi, mi sono fatto un sistema per accordarlo, in sostanza. Una chiavetta sotto, gli ho messo una vite con la brugola, senza rompere, altrimenti devo entrare dentro al buco dal subisco.
Giro la padella. Grande Claudio, che c'eri tu? Sì, no? Cos'è che hai?
Well, good afternoon, triathlon fans. Welcome to the Europe Triathlon YouTube channel. Good afternoon. If you are joining us for the first time today, you are very welcome. If you have been here for 1, 2, or even 3 of our races here from Italy today, thank you for sticking with us for a busy day of triathlon action. Good afternoon. This is the Europe Triathlon Cup from Caorle in Italy. We are coming to you from the coastal town, which is in the metropolitan city of Venice. We're in the Italian region of Venlo. As you can see, we are a coastal town right by the Adriatic Sea, and we are just about to bring you the final of 4 races today here at the Europe Triathlon Cup Caorle. Coming up, we have our elite men's race. It's been a busy afternoon so far. We kicked off with our junior cup races. So we had our junior women followed by our junior men, and then starting just a couple of hours ago, we saw Alyssa Koenig from Switzerland become the champion of our elite women's race. And you see on screen now just being introduced to the start line for our beach start here, and the local crowds is our final race of the day, our elite men's race here at the 2024 Europe Triathlon Cup Caorle. So today's racing, we are over the sprint distance. So a little bit about the course today. You can see, looking down from the drone there, the Adriatic Sea is the venue for our swim course today. Got a beach start, as you'll see, where the athletes are lining up at the moment. 750 meter 1 lap swim. Very simple course, straight out, right hand turn, short section parallel to the beach, and then back into shore. We then head out onto a 19.2 kilometer bike circuit, 6 laps, flat and fast, not too technical, so the speeds will be high. We'll see all of that taking place, but we expect some pretty fast times, and then finishing off with a 2-lap 5 kilometer run. So we've seen some great racing already. First race of the early afternoon was our Elite Women's Junior Cup, where we saw Manon Laporte lead home a podium sweep for the always impressive French squad. Manon stepped up 1 position from her silver medal at the same race 12 months ago to take the Europe Junior Cup here in Caorle and add that to her already impressive CV. Following up on that, we saw Italy's Lorenzo Pellicciardi take the title and keep that title in Italian hands. This is the 4th year of this race, and all 3 previous editions had been won by Italy and had been won by one young man, and that young man was Ewan De Negro. And we are going to be seeing Ewan racing this afternoon because he is now 20, just moved out of the junior ranks, and he is going to be racing for the first time in the Elite Senior Cup here. So keep your eyes out for him today, number 34. And then following up on that Italian win, as I mentioned a little earlier, it was Alyssa Koenig from Switzerland. Produced a fantastic run. We had a very big group off of the bike in our elite women's race, maybe close to 30 athletes, maybe been 30, 31 athletes, but Alyssa Koenig took control very, very early in the run and put behind her 2 years of frustration and injury, and she was very emotional at the finish, but took a clear victory, 35 seconds clear at the finish. So that means so far we have France, Italy, and Switzerland taking home gold today here in Caorle. Will it be another nationality to add their name onto the list of winners here in the 4th edition of this event? We'll find that out in about 50 to 51 or so minutes from now. This race was won last year by Great Britain's Connor Bentley. It's actually a British double, if I'm not mistaken. Having done the commentary at the time, a close finish. Connor Bentley just got the better of fellow Brit Ben Dykstra. Connor is not here today, but we do have plenty of athletes who were racing here last year and indeed have raced here many, many times in the 3 previous editions. As we go through the racing, we'll of course be updating you on many of those athletes, some of their backgrounds, performances and prospects for the race ahead. We are coming close to filling up all of those swim start spots for our beach start, which will be underway probably in about 60 to 90 seconds. So imminently, I'm sure in the background you will hear the infamous and recognizable heartbeat music, which is always the sign of the build-up and start of a Europe Triathlon, a World Triathlon event. And then once that fades out, a few seconds later, the swim will be underway here at the 2024 edition of the Europe Triathlon Cup Caorle. And there we go, right on cue. The heartbeat drops out. And our field of close to, I think, 70 men on the start list today head out into the Adriatic wetsuit swim today. Although the water itself's not too cold. I think it was high 18s, maybe, yeah, 18.8, 19 degrees, somewhere around that region. So with the wetsuits, that is a cool but very, very comfortable temperature to be swimming in. And on a nice sunny Saturday afternoon, blue skies, mid-20s temperatures. That'd be a pretty pleasant place to be, although a somewhat challenging one at the pace that these guys are going to be swimming at. So let's just give you a couple of names just to get started, because with so many athletes in the race, we definitely won't get a chance to speak about everyone as we go through, but we do have a couple of Italians. Number 1 and 2. So all of the race numbers and the numbering for these races is based upon the world rankings of the athletes when the start lists are produced. So our top ranked athlete is wearing number 1 is Nicola Azzano from Italy. Very experienced athlete. He has raced here in all 3 previous editions. He's been 9th, 15th, 14th. Quality athlete, very, very experienced, raced extensively on the World Triathlon Cup circuit. So that's 1 tier higher than the racing that we have here today. He's been a bronze medalist back in 2021 and got a 4th place at the World Cup in Valencia last year. So quality athlete we expect him to be featuring as we progress through the day. Number 2 is Alessio Crociani. Again, been here each year of this race in Caorle since its debut in 2021. Finished 13th, 9th and 4th over those 3 editions. So 1 place away from the podium last year. Now he is a fantastic swimmer, so it's definitely going to be looking to him to be, if not at the front, certainly one of the leading names as they come out of the water. And he started this year in fine form as well. Got a win down in New Zealand. He went down to New Zealand for a couple of races. First off, won the Oceania Cup event in Wanaka. So that's the Oceania equivalent of the Europe Triathlon Cup races that we are watching today. And then he went on to the World Cup, which was held in Napier. And it was a very strong field down there this year with was 6th there. So that is a very strong performance and a great indicator of form. So Azzano, Crociani, we're going to be looking out for them amongst the names carrying the hopes of the Azzurri, and hoping to add another Italian name, the victory list, to join Lorenzo Pellicciardi from our junior men's race a couple of hours ago. So 4 minutes into the race, the lead athletes on the swim already around that first buoy. There's not too far across where they'll reach the second one, and at that point it's another right-hand turn and then straight back towards the shore. So it is only going to be somewhere around about a 9-minute swim, something of that order, obviously dependent upon the currents and waves on the way back. But if you look at those sea conditions today, they're looking excellent. No whiteheads in terms of waves, etc. Little tiny bit of swell, but nothing that all of these guys are not well familiar with the many races that they do swimming in the sea in events all over the globe. So another potential swimmer, just trying to pick out a few potential names that we could be seeing. Great Britain's Marcus Day, he is race number 17 today. He finished the 2023 season with his best result in these Europe Triathlon Cup races to date, with a 2nd place over in Turkey at Yenişehir. So ended 2023 on a high. Is he going to be able to start 2024 in a similar manner? Marcus typically is towards the front of most of the swim events, certainly of all of the domestic UK events that I've regularly been at and doing commentaries, etc. on over recent years. And of course, plenty of French athletes in the mix as well. And we used to think of the Australians as always the reliable swimmers. Well, I think in recent years, in terms of depth, the quality and the consistency of that quality across all of their athletes at all ages of the French swimming in triathlon has been magnificent. Plenty of French athletes here. So look for the likes of Nathan Grail, Leo Fernandez and others to be appearing at or near the top of the timing sheets as they come out of the water. But at the moment we have quite a spread field. 2 athletes seem to be clear. Let's see if we can pick out a number from the side of their swim caps. So at this point you think, actually, I would love to have a 5 times bigger screen, but we will find that out very, very soon. But I wouldn't be surprised if one or more of those names that I've just given you as potentials are certainly going to be appearing pretty soon as they make that run into transition. So it looks like the second place athlete there is number 40, which is from Hungary, Zalan Hubor. He is one of the athletes, of which there are several, that have made that step up from the junior to the senior ranks. He turns 20 this year, so this is his first year in the senior ranks for Zalan. And he actually won 3 of the Junior Cup races last year. So did very, very well in that format. So we'll see how he gets on in his first Senior European Triathlon Cup. But certainly no problems in the water and setting his stall out early. So 8.5 minutes on the clock, and we're going to be seeing, we're going to be seeing them standing up, a few little dolphin dives to get through the last bit of water, and we now have our first 3 athletes, and soon it's going to be a flood behind them running up into transition. So there we can see running through, that's Zalan Hubor we just mentioned, and Marcus Day, indeed, one of the other swim speedsters that I talked about. So not too bad in the prediction stakes at that point. Marcus Day, Crociani, Benfar, Cameron May. Now Cameron is in great form. Had a career best win recently in the last of the Europe Triathlon Cup events in Melilla in Spain. So he's going to be coming in full of confidence. He's an experienced athlete as well. He raced for Scotland in the Commonwealth Games at Sutton Park in Birmingham in 2022. Finished 14th in the individual race, and then the Scottish team went on to have their best Commonwealth Games mixed relay finish yet. So coming out of the water, we did see Zalan Hubor just get run through on the once he was on the sand, but it's Marcus Day, Zalan Hubor, Alessio Crociani, Benfar, Cameron Main, Pietro Giovannini, David Ingrilli, Dalian Statev, he's a World Cup winner in the past, a home athlete, Gaspard Tarot, Tom Lerner, Ewan Denigro, our 3-time champion of the Junior Cup, and then Gergo Sus from Hungary. All of those athletes within 20 seconds. But we don't have really a clear picture, and that will be something that will emerge in the early stages of the bike. We have these little gaps in the swim, but as we have seen through the other races, it normally takes the first half or the first full lap on the bike just to see the shape of the race pan out. So it is a flat and a fast course. The bends are not too difficult. There are a couple of dead turns at the each end of the course, but other than that, not too much in the way of technicality or difficulty, and certainly nothing in terms of ascent, descent. So it's the sort of course that is generally going to favour small groups of athletes. It's definitely one that is pretty difficult if you're trying to make solo breakaways, for example, when you've got the speed of a large peloton chasing you. But that will all pan out over the next few minutes as we start to get a feel of just how the shape of the race is going to form. For our women, we thought we were going to have a small-ish group initially, but that soon grew substantially pretty early on, actually. I think certainly within the first 2 laps, and outside of an unfortunate crash for France's Ilona Hadoum. We still had over 30 athletes that stuck together and all arrived back at T2 and had left the chasers well behind. So will we get a similar position here? We will see how that pans out, and I think we'll get a good feel for that in the next 5 minutes or so. So at the moment there's a small leading group of 4. So that is Day, Hobor, Crociani and Giovannini. Well, it looked like we had 3 not too far behind chasing, and then a very large group again not too many seconds behind. So we'll see. I think this 4 will put in a significant effort now, see how things are going to pan out, and then perhaps make a decision on whether it is a break that has prospects or whether just backing off and working with the larger group makes more sense. So just a reminder, if you have just joined us and just missed the intros, the bike course here today for this Europe Triathlon Cup Caorle, we're racing sprint distance. We're just under 20k, about 19.2 I think is the official distances today, but it's a 6-loop course. And where the athletes are at the moment, they are just completing 1 full lap. They've just gone past where the transition area is. So when they make this little dead turn, U-turn section, which they've just done, that is heading out to start lap number 2. So we still have our quartet broken away at the front. I've got a few more seconds, perhaps got a couple of chases, but that leading quartet at the moment is the first year seniors, Alan Hobor from Hungary, Marcus Day from Great Britain, and then Alessio Crociani and Pietro Giovannini, both from Italy, representing our hosts today. Crociani, as we said, wearing bib number 2 today, so one of our top ranked athletes, already a winner this year down in New Zealand, winning the Oceania Cup race in Wanaka, and then following up with that excellent 6th in the World Triathlon Cup in Napier. So he is in form. It looks like 4 could become 6. And that has just happened, but look at that chasing group. There's a significant long line of athletes, and they are, I'm just going to do a rough timing, 1, 2, 3, maybe 6 or 7 seconds behind. So that is going to be pretty tough to maintain. Now, interestingly, yeah, we had another Italian come in there. Now, we did mention him at the start, but I'll just remind you, Ewan De Negro, who was one of the two athletes there that has just joined our leading quartet. He already has pretty much legendary status at the Caorle event. This is his first time racing the senior event, but he won all three editions of the Junior Cup race, so 2021, 2022, and 2023, with his trademark jump across the line. So this was always going to be an interesting race to see how he managed that step up from the juniors to the seniors. And we are very early, only 17 or so minutes into the race, but so far so good. And Ewan De Negro from Italy certainly showing no fear whatsoever. And then the other athlete that had made that group from Switzerland, that was Sasha Katerina, who was bib number 60, so quite a way down in ranking terms. But he has raced here before. He was 23rd here 2 years ago, so knows the course. And he's also had experience racing on the World Triathlon Championship Series, which is the top tier of international racing. So while his world ranking at the moment is pretty low in relative terms, that's perhaps not reflective of his abilities. So he has made a significant move along with Ewan De Negro to bridge back to that leading quartet at the front. So will that now 6 be able to stay clear of what is a very significant group? That's going to be pretty tough. There are close on 40 athletes in that chasing group that are just spread across about a 10-second period. So that long line of athletes, that means a lot of potential firepower, a lot of speed, and as no doubt you'll be familiar with if you do or have in the past watched Tour de France stages and similar cycling events, for example, can be pretty tough for a small group to hold off a peloton, or certainly a group of peloton that are working together. And those chasers do look as though they are keeping the pace up. But at the moment, these are your leading 6 athletes here at the Europe Triathlon Cup men's elite race here for 2024, the final race number 4 of 4 here today on a busy afternoon of triathlon action on this glorious Saturday here in the Venlo region of Italy. We're next to the Adriatic Sea. The sun is shining, the sky is blue. And we have 3 Italians in our leading 6 at the moment. So we're on lap 3 at the moment. I think we've just made the U-turn at the far end of the course. So now on the return leg. And here we go. It looks like any chance of escaping for that 6 has now been well and truly extinguished. We have a long line of athletes, and a big group have bridged up. Now it looks like the pace has been pretty hot there. Not everybody has made it. We can see a few athletes and a few little groups splintering off the back. But I'm still pretty confident that when we get to the end of this 3rd lap and they go through the next checkpoint, we will have probably at least around 30 or so athletes together, and that's bringing us to a very similar situation to what we saw an hour and a half or so ago with our elite women. So that will also mean that some of the athletes that have effectively have come back into that now leading group will be another of our juniors who raced very well here last year, who's now stepped up to the seniors, was Pablo Izaton from France. He was third last year. We've got Gergely Kiss from Hungary. He was a silver medalist a couple of years ago in the under 23 World Championships out in Abu Dhabi, and that race coincidentally was won by Connor Bentley, who was our champion here last year. So Gergely Kiss is a class athlete, already had a good performance this year with 5th place in a very, very competitive race over the standard distance or Olympic distance that we saw at Caorle in Portugal at the end of May. Yeah, so the pace does appear to be on. Not seeing athletes spread across the road too much. Fairly straightish line, although then just as I say that, does have a little bit of a group sort of forming at the front, but I don't think that will be too long. Yeah, so that does look like, what's that going to be, 25 to 30, I'm going to suggest. We'll give you confirmation of that at our next checkpoint. But at this point, it's just about starting to follow a similar pattern to our elite women's race earlier. That large group at the front. So with this left-hand turn here, this is just where they come up to the U-turn, which is at the very far end of the course. So they're on lap number 4 at the moment. So this will effectively mean 3.5 laps completed, and then half a lap back towards transition before heading out onto laps number 5 and 6.
Ok. Boh, che così vai via e io so, grazie, perché aspetto qua. Hanno fatti 2. Questa vanno per il terzo quando girano tutti qua. No, è che non so della
Yeah, this is still a very, very big group. And the indications are that it is actually maybe a little bit bigger than I thought. Yeah, it could be up to 40 here. Towards the back of that group, but safely in the group, is another talented young Frenchman, Thomas Hansmainel. He's now in his first year as a senior, turns 20 this year. Came 30th that race in Caorle in March. But he's a quality athlete, and in 2022 was the World Junior Triathlon Champion. Fine runner as well. So getting to see that there are plenty of athletes that have won some significant races and podiumed and earned medals in some top tier events. So they are now not far away from the end of lap number 4. We're just seeing the front of the group from the back of that lead motorbike. This is just coming up to the end of lap number 4. So they make this left-hand turn. There's then a little out and back around the dogleg, and then heading out onto lap number 5. And just on cue, you just see the graphic on the right-hand corner updates. So just to confirm that. So this time is flying through quickly. As we said, the course here, it is flat, fast, good road surface, pretty fast corners as well. Outside of those 2 dead turns at each end of the course, there's really not too much to interfere with the speed and the consistent application of power to the athletes here. So that is going to make some very, very speedy bike splits. But yeah, that group is significant and is about 40 athletes actually. So yeah, can just confirm that as at the last checkpoint, we've effectively had 43 athletes in the leading group. Nicola Azzano, top ranked athlete coming in today. He is in there, number 1. Gurgly Kiss, who we mentioned. Cameron Main, who won recently in Malia. Marcus Day, who led out of the swim, he's in there. Eric Diener from Germany, I don't think we've mentioned him. He's another fantastic athlete. He was 4th in that under-23 World Champs in Abu Dhabi, just a couple of places behind Gurgly Kiss, who we mentioned a few moments ago. Had 2 5th place finishes last year in ETU Cup events, and has raced here twice before as well. So he is likely to be in the mix. Also, interesting name. We mentioned we had an Aussie racing in our elite women's race earlier. I'm just looking at a name that I recognise from Canada, Daniel Damien. Now, Daniel raced last year at the ETU Premium Cup event in Holten in the Netherlands. That was a fantastic race. It always is a great race there. Top quality field, and he was a podium finisher there. So look out for Daniel Damien. You can see his name just popped up on the screen. Yeah, he was actually 3rd in that race, just checking on my notes. Remember, he had a great performance, and that race in Holten in the Netherlands is always an excellent quality field. It's one of the longest standing and most popular races in Europe, really, and certainly one of the highest profile Europe Triathlon Cup events. Always attracts plenty of athletes to the Netherlands. But we do really have a lot of quality in this leading group. We saw with our women's race earlier that Alissa Koenig from Switzerland, she was able to run clear by a significant margin, 35 seconds by the finish. I'd say it would be a pretty tough ask for with the athletes that we've got here for any of the men to be able to put 30 plus seconds into everybody else, but that waits to be seen. But we are now heading into the final lap. There is not going to be too much longer to go on the bike, maybe another 4.5 minutes or so. Each of these laps, they do go pretty quick. And so, as I said, at around this time in our elite women's race, as we are so late into the race, and it is this flat, fast course, the pace is so high, a breakaway or a breakaway attempt at such a late stage is probably unrealistic, or certainly not going to get you significant time. But what we can look for is for athletes to start already thinking about that dismount line heading into transition 2, trying to position themselves towards the front of the group, trying to minimize any chances of being impacted by anybody else and avoiding people slipping or somebody falling over in front of you, which we have seen and does unfortunately happen when you have such a large group heading to transition at such a speed in such close proximity. So that pace is definitely on. You're just seeing the impacts of the quality and that pace here. There's just a few athletes towards the back just starting to just drift off a little. We've got a couple, one or two at the front, just pushing the pace a little. Got a few seconds just heading into that far end of the course as we just make this final left here. So this is effectively lap 5.5, if you like. So I think we will have just dropped a couple of riders as we come into T2, but broadly speaking, I think we are going to be seeing the best part of 35 to 40 athletes coming into transition 2 to make that move from cyclist to runners in very, very close order at high speed. So yeah, hopefully there are no issues, no bikes going down, people tripping up, anything like that, but just highlighting it because it is always something that can happen. So just got this rider on the front. Looks like possibly one of the Italians in the blue. And per those comments, I don't think realistically looking to make a break, but certainly just wanting to ensure that they come into transition clear. So they've got 2-3 seconds there, but we are so late into the race, that's really not going to be any more than 4, 5, 6 seconds at best as they come into transition, but it will hopefully ensure that they get a clean run into transition and perhaps just get that opportunity to get out onto the run course first. So here we go. We are coming up to transition now. I think this could be Marco Arnaldo, who just looking down my start list, I think was going to be a pretty late addition to the field. Indeed it is, race number 72. So he's grabbed himself just a few seconds coming in, but that looks like Marcus Day, I think, from Great Britain, and maybe even Cameron Main as well. Is that 2 GB tri-suits? Certainly in excellent position. No, I think that was Crociani actually. No, just had some duff information on just coming through there, but yeah, it is Alessio Crociani. Just got himself 5 seconds start there, starting the run. So just a reminder, he was 4th last year, and he's been very, very consistent over the years at this race. This is the 4th edition. He's raced all of them. There's been 13th, 9th, and 4th. So that is an arc of improvement. Already been in the winner's circle this year down in New Zealand in the Oceania Cup in Wanaka, and with that 6th place finish in Napier right from the start, that did mark him out certainly as one of, if not the favourite for today's racing. And maybe that move towards the end of the bike, yeah, did make a lot of sense, as well as giving him that safety coming into T2. We know that he's a class runner, and it's given him 5 or 6 seconds head start going out onto the run. So heading out to the run, yeah, he had 6 seconds ahead of Guillaume Hay from France. And then very, very close behind, a big line of athletes led by Lucas Pertil. We had Pablo Isoton, who was a 3rd last year in the junior event, Jules Rederot from France, and then the 2 Brits that we mentioned, Cameron Main, recent winner in Malia, Marcus Day, swim leader today, Gilia Kovac from Hungary, Leo Fernandez, who was a top 10 finisher recently, and Lievan at the indoor triathlon. So there's some real quality there, and we are just going to have to see how this pans out over the next kilometre or so we get a real feel for who has got the legs today. So here's our motorbike cameraman just giving us a little taste of what's going on. So here is Crociani, but as we can see, we don't need a timing data to tell us that is no longer a 6-second lead. We have Guillaume Hay. Looks like he's just about to move into the lead. Now, he had a strong race recently in Malia. He was 4th in that race that Cameron Main won, and he's also raced here before as well. Put on for us. This is the 4th edition, of course. And the venue has also hosted the European Duathlon Championships in a separate event in April last year. So it's always good to have sport in all its various formats. We've had events also locally over the middle distance in and around Venice. So yeah, thank you once again to the region for your warm welcome, and we hope you are enjoying the action here as we head into the final 10 minutes of action from a busy day of triathlon here on this fantastic Saturday in Caorle, European Triathlon Cup 2024. The 4th and final race of the day. Which way is it going to go? Well, at the moment we have not a clue because it is very, very tight at the front of the race. So there's the moment this duo, they do have just pulled away just a touch. So as a reminder, it is from France, Guillaume Hay, and from Italy, Alessio Crociani. So we've already seen both France and Italy top podiums here today via Manon Laporte in our Elite Women's Junior Cup and via Lorenzo Pellicciardi in our Elite Men's Junior Cup earlier today. Will it be a second gold for either of those nations? Or are the chasers from behind going to be able to close the gap and challenge for the final gold medal of the day? So if you were here watching the Elite Juniors early today, the run course that Elite Seniors are on is we cover exactly the same roads and paths, but just with a couple of little extra bits that just extend the Juniors 1.9 kilometer route up to around 2.5k, so that the 2 laps of that 2.5k brings us to the required 5k total distance for the sprint format here. So the athletes now are on what will be the finishing straight, and broadly speaking, where the camera is located at the moment, that is the finish line. But this time around, our athletes, led by the cycle outrider, will bear to their left or our right as you look at the screen and head out onto lap number 2. Now, after being caught by Guillaume Hay, it looks like perhaps that effort has come to bite the Frenchman just a touch, with Alessia Crociani moving back into the lead. Yeah, so here is Crociani. He's the man who made that effort just in the final, well, it's probably the final kilometre of the bike, just pulled away. Not, I wouldn't really call it a breakaway, but he managed to just get himself about 5 seconds over that large group coming into T2. Looked like that effort was going to come to nothing in the early part of the run as the French athlete powered through, but Crociani, he, as I sort of outlined a few times through this race, he is a quality athlete. He has competed at even higher levels than this. Multiple races on the World Triathlon Cup circuit, and perhaps that experience and also the knowledge of this course may be paying dividends here. He's been on an upward curve at this particular race, starting with 13th at the debut in 2021. He moved up 4 places in 2022 to 9th. He moved up 5 places to 4th place last year. Is he going to be able to move onto the podium, or perhaps even 3 places up to the top of the podium? He's doing a great job at the moment, but certainly this race is not over, and this is not decisive yet. There is the Frenchman, Guillaume Hay. He was the man who did move into the lead fairly early. Caught Crociani, looked like he was going to pull away. But if anything, he looks under more pressure from the chasers behind him. And Alessio is running strongly, and I'd say perhaps looking even stronger than he did on the first lap. Gives a little bit of a look behind there. Sometimes you can maybe criticize athletes for looking behind, but I think that was just genuinely looking for information. It didn't look as sort of from too much concern. Just wanted to just check the position. And yeah, just looking there, he has put in a good amount of time. Here come the chasers. But we are really into the very late stages now. Probably only about a kilometre or so of racing action left. We're here in Italy. Beautiful venue in Caorle. It's been a fantastic day, fantastic weather, some great racing. And are we going to finish off the day with another victory for the home nation? Are the Azzurri going to be celebrating once again and adding to the Junior Cup victory already of their young talent Lorenzo Pellicciardi, who took gold in the Junior Cup event a little earlier today? So Crociani leading the way. Just getting some images as we move through the field back towards the front. So yeah, that last checkpoint, it was Crociani. We've now got 3 French athletes in chase. Nathan Grail has moved up alongside Guillaume Hay and Jules Rethero, with Daniel Damien, who I mentioned had that great race last year in the Netherlands at the Europe Triathlon Premium European Cup in Holten. He is up to 5th. But the finish straight is almost in sight. They've got this little section where they just go out of view. It's a very small little add-on to the course that just extends it, and then we are going to imminently go back to the finish straight, and we are going to see our athletes come out. And they've got this long finish straight, this avenue, this boulevard of trees. They've got all of the spectators on both sides, and if they see that Italian tri-suit, they are going to be celebrating. We've had winners every year here in the Italian colours, 3 times in the past in the junior ranks, from Juan De Negro, who is racing here today. Here's Crociani. Now he's being chased down. It's always difficult to tell with the foreshortening effect of the camera, but I'm pretty sure. Here we go. The crowd are going wild. Alessio Crociani, he looks behind. He knows that he has got it. He says to the crowd, come on, give me some support. He's on to the blue carpet. Your champion here in Caorle, Alessio Crociani. Jules Rethero taking silver, and Nathan Grail coming through for bronze. Daniel Damien and Lukas Pertil from Austria. Close racing right to the finish. So unlike our women, where we had Alisa Koenig just demolished the field on the run and ran through to a significant victory of over 30 seconds. No such situation here. Crociani holding on. Fast finish from Rethero to be 4 seconds behind. And Nathan Grail completing the podium 7 seconds behind your champion from Italy, Alessio Crociani. So that is your podium. You're finishing out the top 10. In fourth, we had Daniel Damian. In fifth, Lucas Pertel. In sixth, athlete from France who had the lead early on the run, Guillaume Hay. From Italy, seventh place went to Nicola Azzano. The three-time Junior Cup winner, Ewan Denigro, in his first Europe Triathlon Cup event as a senior, took eighth place. Eric Diener in ninth, and rounding out the top 10 on the provisional results, Samuele Angelini. So, as always, plenty of tired bodies at the finish line. But a fine way to end an excellent and busy afternoon of triathlon action here. It's been a pleasure to be here, as I was 12 months ago, to take you through it and enjoy all of the racing myself. So congratulations to all of our athletes who raced, and just from my perspective, because it always gets forgotten, big thank you to all of the production team behind the scenes and on the ground in Caorle. So all of the cameras, video technicians, sound, etc., who make all this happen, all of the technology that I just don't understand at all, but that's why we have people in the right places doing the right things, and to bring us a whole afternoon of triathlon racing, 4 back-to-back races. It's been fantastic to be a part of, and hopefully with a warm welcome once again next year. We hope to be back here for another Europe Triathlon Cup event in Venlo here in Caorle, and hopefully get to share the action once again. Just a reminder, in terms of the Junior Cup races, that we were the 2 events that kicked off our afternoon around midday. Those races were all part of the Rising Stars program promoted by Europe Triathlon. So there are multiple Europe Triathlon Junior Cup events through the season, at least 15, maybe even 20 races. And then what Europe Triathlon have done, and this is the second year, trying to promote a small number of those races through this Rising Stars program. And you can find out more information on risingstars.try.com. Also check out all of the Europe Triathlon social media pages, so all of the Instagram, Facebook, etc. There will be plenty more behind the scenes coverage, interviews, and much more, both today, tomorrow, and in the coming weeks. And hopefully, as we progress through the season, there may be 1 or 2 more events added to the Rising Stars program, and you'll be able to get to watch live some of the future stars hoping to follow in the footsteps of the likes of the Brownlee brothers, Cassandra Beaugrand, Gustav Fieden, Leonie Perriot, and more, that have all honed their craft and found their way to the top of the sport by racing through the Europe Triathlon Junior Cup program. So let's just give you a little wrap up of the day's action here in Caorle. As we said, it has been a busy day, 4 back-to-back races on this fantastic Saturday afternoon, coming to you from alongside the Adriatic Sea on the coast here in northern Italy. We started off with our Junior European Cup, and we saw France's Manon Laporte step up from her second place last year to lead home a trio of French athletes as Les Bleus blocked out the entire podium. We then went to our junior men, where it was Lorenzo Pellicciardi was the first of our Italian winners today. He followed in the footsteps of three-time champion here, Juan de Negro, and ensured that the Europe Triathlon Junior Men's Cup has only ever been won in its 4 years by an Italian athlete. So congratulations to Lorenzo. We then move through to our two senior events, starting off with our elite women. A big group off the bike, 31 athletes off the bike together, but pretty soon onto the run, it was Switzerland's Lisa Koenig. She put together a fantastic run, grabbed hold of the race early, and she showed no signs whatsoever of letting go of it. Running strong to the finish, and an emotional finish it was, putting behind her 2 years our men's senior Europe Triathlon Cup 2024 in Caorle. Congratulations to our champion. He continued his run. He'd been 13th, he'd been 9th, he'd been 4th, and finally he tops the podium at the 4th time of asking. Your champion for 2024, Alessio Crociani. So just looking down from the drone, I think, just going to hold on for a few minutes because I think hopefully we might get to hear from our podium trio. Yeah, I think they're trying to set that up on the ground. So I'll leave you in their hands. But from me, I'd just like to say thank you very much for listening, for hopefully enjoying today's coverage. Hope to see virtually, of course, some of you at another event soon. And the coverage here from Caorle, it's been a pleasure to be part of. Thanks for all of the team behind the scenes that have been working to make it happen. And of course, all of the organisers, the local councils, and all of the many bodies involved for making the race happen. It's been a pleasure to be just a small part of. And from me, thank you, and I'll see you at another race very, very soon. For now, goodbye.